We are ready for our final week of our Fields Forever Cowl. The third week is the wave. So we will be doing this section of the cowl. This is a section where we're going to go down a needle size. And the reason we do that is we want to bring in the cowl just a smidge here at the top so it tightens it a bit so that when you wear it, it doesn't flop over. There'll be a little bit of that happens, but it will help prevent that. So let's take a look at our pattern. Again, we've got our yarn colors. By now, you've probably gotten used to which is your A, B, and C. You're going to be using A and C in this section again. And it's written out for you as well as the chart. And the chart is the pattern is a 10 stitch 24 rounds repeat. And again, you can read them and do it that way, or you can follow the chart. You will do rounds 1 through 11, and then you'll see change to US 6 or one size smaller. If you're using a 8, you would go down to a 7, or you would just make that adjustment. And then you'll do the rest of the cowl, the whole rest of the cowl with this smaller needle. If you forget to change the needle, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. You can finish your project. One of the things that I'd like to talk with you about is that you might want to practice using the chart. Because in our next two projects, there are a couple of sections, like the arrow section does not have it written out. It is only charted. So there is a point where you are going to have to get comfortable using a chart. And so I would encourage you to maybe practice using your chart. One of the things that I like to do is I may put this in a clear sleeve, and then I would use a sticky note that I would move up to help me keep my position on the chart. So we're going to get started, and one of the things that you'll notice is we're going to talk about catching floats, and there's 2 rows that we want to catch floats on here. So you notice that it is 9 stitches and then a color, change color. And that's going to be all the way around. So that's a long 9 stitches to carry this one color. So we are going to be trapping it in here at stitch number 5. And then the row above it is 7. And, you know, I think it's good to practice at 7. I might not catch at 7, but it doesn't hurt to catch at 7. After that, there'll be some. Here's a 7. And that will be it then. So, oh, nope, there's some 7s up here as well. So once you practice it, you can see, and I'll be showing you 2 methods to do this. Okay, we're at our beginning of the round, beginning of the chart. Remember, you work the chart, you start at the right side and go left, so it mimics what you're knitting. Here's our 9 stitches, and we're going to knit 9 stitches with red, and then the last stitch is going to be with the gray. And the gray has been here waiting for me, but I don't want to just take the gray and go all the way over like that. So one of the things that I like to do to get my gray engaged is I would bring the red up underneath that gray so that it captures it. It's kind of like a little twist. You don't need to do extra twists or anything in there. So it captures it and holds it, and then it will be carried there. The first way I'm going to demonstrate trapping your yarn is to do it two-handed, one in your right, one in your right, one in your left. And this is a yarn that I need to get over to stitch number 10, and I am on stitch number 5. So I'm going to insert my needle as if I were going to knit, and I'm going to wrap that yarn just like I would be wrapping it to knit, but I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to bring the needle out or finish the stitch. And then I'm going to yarn over the needle with the color A. And then I'm going to unwrap the yarn, and I bring that stitch through, and that traps You can see that it's trapped the yarn behind. Okay, so we'll knit 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 would be where I would work with color C. Bring it out. Okay, now I don't need to trap the red because the red is already, I just used that stitch and I'm going to use it again. So let's practice it again so that you can see it. So we'll knit 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the 5th stitch, you insert. You're going to pretend like you're going to knit, just so you would just wrap it as a yarn over, as if you're English throwing it, but don't finish the stitch. Then you bring your red yarn over the right-hand needle, and then you unwrap the color A, or color C, I'm sorry, and then you finish with color A, which is what you want. And you'll notice sometimes they may float and show a little bit, and if you just give it a little bit of a tug, don't forget we want to keep stretching our stitches out, and then we'll knit 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll finish stitch number 10 with our gray. Okay, so that's the way to catch your floats. Let's take a look at the back of it. Catch your floats using 2 hands. And you can see here that it is trapped right there. It looks like a little kind of V, and it's trapped over here. See the V? And it's trapped here, okay? So that's a way to do it 2-handed. Next, I'm going to show you how to do it Continental style. All right, for our Continental, many of you have been having good success with this, and you're going to see why trapping yarns, knitting Continental is really simple. One of the things that you will want to do is you will want to keep the gray closest to you. And so when you wrap it and you give it the finger, you want the gray closest to your watch or closest to your heart. It's the one closest to you because we're going to go over and under with that. So then we would begin knitting just like we would do if we were Continental stranded knitting. 2 colors, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now our 5th one should be red, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter and I'll go under the gray, pick up the red, bring it through, and on the next stitch, I'm going to go over the gray and knit the red stitch. Give the gray a little tug so that it doesn't show. You can kind of see that I've got it trapped right there. And then I'll go along and I'll finish 1, 2, 3, and I'll knit the gray. Okay, now we'll do the next section. We'll do it again. Still shuttling your yarn as you've tensioned it with your middle finger in between, the yarn running up and over your index finger. And the gray is closest to you, closest to your wrist, closest to your watch. And you're going to knit 4 stitches by going over and grabbing the red. Then to trap, on the 5th stitch, I go under the gray, knit the 5th stitch. On the 6th stitch, I go over the gray, give it a little tug, and finish your section with 1 more to be the gray. There you go. Give them a stretch out. Let's look at the back of this and see how it looks. So same thing. You can see that the stitch is caught there and it's caught there. It's really important that you give these little stretch out, just like we've been practicing, so that then your yarn doesn't peek through. Sometimes you can see there a little bit when we're doing floats, they can show through. So you want to make sure it's not too tight. Then you can continue. So you can make your choice how you would like to do it, how you'd like to trap the yarn. We'll finish this and then I'll come back and show you how to trap for the 7 stitches. Will just be a basic review again, and you're going to be off and knitting. All right, I've completed round 1. Now I'm ready for round 2. And this is where we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we could make a catch in here. Again, this is a cowl, and so it's not like you put your hands in it, you put your head in it. So it's not like the floats have to be caught. But if you prefer and would like to practice it, this is a good opportunity to do this. One of the things we sometimes like to do is not catch floats on top of each other. So I'm pointing to this stitch because this would be stitch 5. So you could catch your float here, or you could catch your float here, opposite sides of it. Not super critical with this project, but if you had a bunch of floats stacked on top of each other, you might alternate where you would catch them. You can see I've got the little chart. I've moved it up. Now I can see that I'll knit with color A, color C, sorry, and then color A, and then 2 C's. And then I've got my markers in place. And I have to give you a confession. I was finishing this and I didn't have markers in place in the restaurant. I just went right on by. So markers. All right, let's look at how to catch floats again. We'll do it two-handed as our demonstration. And so we don't need to trap the gray because the gray is already there. It's been engaged from the time before, but we're going to knit 1 stitch with the gray, and then we're going to knit 7. So I'm going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4. You wrap it with the gray just as if you were going to knit it, but you don't finish the knit stitch. You do a yarn over from underneath and over. Can't do it this way because when you unravel, it won't unravel. So you have to come underneath and over. Then you unwrap and you finish your stitch number 4. 1, 2, 3. And then we've got 2 grays that you can knit with your right hand. Now, if you're dropping your stitches and doing it all in your right hand, you just are going to have to do the same wraps, the same way that we wrap. You're just going to have to do that with your yarns, picking up and doing it. So now we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't finish the stitch. I wrap with the gray. I come with a yarn over from underneath. I unwrap with my gray and come out. 1, 2, 3. Finish with your 2 gray stitches. Give them a pull out, scooch out. They're looking good. All right. Now we'll look at the 7 stitches with the Continental method. So we're tensioning our yarns. We're keeping the gray closest to our watch or closest to our wrist. We go over, we got to do a gray first. Then we're going to do over 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to go under the gray, get the red. Next stitch, go over the gray, get the red. That makes a trap. I give it a pull. You can see how I did that. Then 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So now you're starting to see where you build. You're building your pattern. So you can make a decision about how often you want to catch. There's our float catches again. I did it on the 9 stitches for sure, and I may do it on the 7s. But if you don't get it done on the 7, that's okay too. I have completed rounds 1 through 11, and I'm ready for 12. 12 is where you go down a needle size. So I'm going to change my 7s to 6s. I thought it might be nice to show you how you do that with interchangeable needles, and that's why interchangeables are so beautiful. They've got this little, oops, sorry about the focus, little pinhole right here, and you put the T-pin in, and you don't twist the T-pin, but you use it as leverage to unscrew the needle. Put the 6 on, and give it a nice tighten by pulling back on the T-pin. That tightens it. I have a tendency to just kind of throw my needles on and not use the T-pin to get it tightened, and then sometimes it will come undone. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to use an interchangeable because of that. But I find that if you use and do the T-pin, it will make a difference. And you do kind of want to check. I can read it here. You won't be able to read it on camera, but this is the 6. So then I'm going to screw that on here and tighten up. Again, you don't go like this, but you use it as leverage. So you pull one way and go the other way with the little T-pin. And now I'm set and ready to do the remainder of the cowl. So now I'll finish the next 12 rows, and then there's a couple rows after that, and then I'll move into the rib, and I'll do it all with that smaller size needle to help that come down, and then we'll be complete with our cowl. We'll talk about blocking and how to block it. I'll give you a demonstration on that, and then we are having a style show on our Zoom event that will be on Friday, September 20th. So your goal is to get your project done and blocked and ready for show and tell on our Zoom huddle on Friday, September 20th. Happy knitting.